Hi there, welcome to I Lone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Virgo energy, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because people have free will and life's about learning lessons, and some people have learned more lessons than some other people. And Virgo energy is about learning lessons, and some people harness high vibe Virgo energy. They are very kind of self-aware and insightful, and they've learned a lot of lessons in their life, and they've grown and matured and healed themselves, and they want to be in authentic, just and fair and loving relationships. But some other people harness a more worldly Virgo energy. They're more about the things of the world. The most important thing to them is having a certain status or image or to indulge themselves in things, and love is optional. And some don't even want to do love. If you do love, you get hurt. And some people haven't freed themselves from things that manipulate them, that keep them defensive to love where they could get hurt. You know, some people harness more shadowy Virgo energy. I'm just going to use anything I have to try to manipulate people to get them to be in a relationship with me, because I might want to look like I have what just and fair and loving people have, but that's really not the truth of who I am. And I just use my emotions and my sexuality and my looks or my money or whatever to try to get people to get in a relationship with me for whatever I can get out of it, for as long as I can get something out of it, or to create this illusion that I'm like other people in the world that do love, but I really don't. So we're going to look at that in a minute, but I'm also going to get some cards out of this Intuit deck. See what it wants to add to the story. Enjoy life. It is eternal. And the reason, and then that's kind of funny because it's someone in, I guess, what do you call that? Like a kayak on the rapids, and Pisces, or not Pisces, but Pisces is the opposite sign of Virgo, but, you know, Virgo's earth sign energy, but Virgo's about wanting balance. A truly abundant foundation is having those things of the world that we want, but also willing to go on this emotional adventure. So maybe more balance between your Virgo nature and your Pisces nature, because Virgo and Pisces are on opposite signs of the astrology wheel. And I think that we go out on all these lessons to learn in life, hopefully to get unified by love from all the lessons that we've learned, that we're able to not be too out of balance in one or the other, and really enjoy life. Emotionally, love is what makes it all worthwhile. And some high vibe Virgos have learned that instead of being so caught up in, you know, and it has to be just and fair and balanced. So the reason it came out is because of leadership. Okay, let's go see. The overarching reason for the reading is the Page of Wands, and then we have the Five of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles, and the Truth, and the Six of Swords, and the Six of Wands, and the Devil, and the Truth, and the Six of Cups. So, the Page of Wands, we're either indulging our more immature nature, or we're loving our inner child nature to have that hopeful, believing spirit. Whichever one people, you know, it's kind of like being a mother to yourself or a parent to yourself. Which one do we kind of nurture and invest in, and which one do we not? Whichever one we invest in is the one, you know, that's our truth. That's how we're going to keep moving forward in life. That's why we're going to exchange time, energy, and effort with certain people. We're either in relationships with people having that hopeful, believing spirit in truth and love, believing in our dreams, and together we're willing to overcome our own more egotistical, self-centered nature to work together in that hopeful, believing spirit. Or we kind of align with our more worldly, egoic, emotionally defensive nature because we don't really want to do deep, meaningful relationships. We kind of want to have this certain way of viewing life. If someone indulges themselves in poor behavior, they want to get in relationships with other people who will indulge them in that poor behavior. People who will defend them in that poor behavior. I am defensive to getting balance within myself, is what the Six of Cups can be. To see the truth that I'm kind of indulging someone in their poor behavior. Why would I indulge someone in their poor behavior? You know? So, that's the overarching reason. Some people right now are indulging their more immature worldly nature, more about themselves, more about the world, more about these things they want to indulge in that they think will make them happy. They don't have to do love. They maybe just need someone to love them. That's the answer. But are they very loving, or are they kind of immature and like to indulge themselves in a relationship, and they don't want to have to grow up or mature themselves? Did I say Pisces again? Well, it's Virgo anyway. The Five of Swords and the Knight of Swords, and the reason it came out is because of the Four Cups. The Five of Swords can talk about having mental conflict and fighting for our truth. The people that are kind of immature or indulge their more immature worldly nature, that is their truth. And they could have mental conflict about that truth because they know they're rejecting their own loving nature and probably not offering love to people in their life who they know probably would like to be in a relationship with them, but those people do have hope and faith and belief in love. And they might know, I don't want to do that. I could get hurt doing that. I've had mental conflict because I offered love to people before and they maybe rejected my love. So now I decided I'm not doing love. You know, and it's kind of like people, you know, it is kind of immature because not everybody's the same. You know, it's to see the truth about the people we had previously invested in. Were they bossy? Were they controlling? Were they egotistical? Were they immature? Were they impulsive and reckless? You know, were they lazy? You know, whatever the case is, you know, see the truth about the different people you're getting in a relationship with. But, you know, some people also have been hurt really bad, but, you know, and then they can just make a blanket statement on people. And, you know, any of us who've been hurt, maybe not as badly and atrociously as some people could have, but we can all be defensive to wanting to get in another relationship with people. But I think high vibe people speak their truth. I've been in relationships with people who were unjust, were unfair, were bossy, controlling, egotistical, self-centered. I'm not doing that again. And they make that clear to people that they want to be in a relationship with. It's like, then the Page of Wands is kind of communicating to someone, these are the lessons I've learned. And, you know, I came in contact with these different people in the world to help me get clear about my truth. And I did become clear about my truth. I could have learned that I had to learn to love myself. And because I hadn't learned to love myself, I could have pushed away loving people in my life. And I could have gotten and defended people that I got in relationships with that, you know, caused me a lot of mental conflict and maybe didn't love me, you know. But if that's like my pattern and I hadn't learned to love myself, well, being drawn and attracted to those people, I think we are drawn and attracted to people for us to get clear about our truth. And when we haven't learned to love ourselves and we have a lot of mental conflict about loving ourselves, the Knight of Swords is Gemini energy, which is about love and manifesting. If I have problems loving myself, I'm going to have a problem with other people who want to love me. I could be loving to other people, but oh no, not me. No, I kind of reject loving me. I love people that reject my love. That's my pattern. That's what I'm used to. I go get in relationships and offer love to people who harness this who also have mental conflict and are defensive, because in some ways we're on the same boat. The only difference is one person, you can have that commonality that you really haven't learned to love yourself, but the difference can be one person does believe in love and the other person rejects love. But you can get in a relationship with each other because the common factor is that we both have mental conflict, maybe about loving ourselves, or we haven't learned to speak up for ourselves and stand up for ourselves. And by getting in this relationship is to try to help people learn to stand up for themselves and maybe get out of more codependent energy is what the pages can talk about. And in tarot, we have the pages, then we have the knights, then we have the kings and queens and the emperor and the empress. You know, we've all been children before, and we've all been in family dynamics where we were kind of codependent on other people and looking to other people to love us and nurture us and make us feel, provide stability and security in our life. And you know, we can kind of go out in the world still looking outside of ourselves to other people to provide us that because we haven't learned to love ourselves. You know, probably why? Because of the Three of Swords, because of some pain and heartbreak and hurtful events in our life. But if we do go through these life experiences, and if when we're in those life experiences, we're inspired to change. You know, I want to see the truth about myself and others, and I am motivated to kind of grow to my full potential here with the King of Swords and the King of Pentacles, and maybe the King of Wands is in here somewhere. You know, I don't want to keep being in more codependent energy, and I don't want to keep not loving and believing in myself. And I don't really, you know, as time goes by, I kind of realize I have less and less patience being in relationships with people who seem to have a lot of mental conflict about the truth that is supposed to be about love. And I don't want my foundation to keep growing from a foundation of heartbreak. I want to get balanced within myself. So the Three of Swords and the King of Swords is Libra energy represented by the scales of justice. You know, I want to learn to be balanced within myself, not tipped out of balance. We have our dualistic nature of our more immature worldly nature, which can be envy, jealousy, fear, insecurity, immaturity, laziness, lust, greed, whatever. You know, and then we have our more emotionally nurturing, loving self. But we have free will to decide which one we align with. And we all kind of grow up in the world. And I think, you know, our life can be about conforming to the world and wanting other people to like us and want to be in a relationship with us. And, you know, so, and then other people in the world cannot be nice and cannot be kind. And we have to work through this thing of feeling like, and maybe if we were more authentically ourselves, the Five of Swords is Aquarius energy of the Star card. You know, sometimes it can feel like people don't like us being our authentic self. You know, it's this whole thing about conforming to the world and trying to fit in. And, you know, and people, if we do have a unique talent, skill, or interest, or if you're attractive or have whatever you could possibly have. You know, sometimes other people don't like that because they don't have, you know, you could be smart in math, you could be attractive, you could be at ease and have good social skills, and other people who don't can be kind of jealous and envious and defensive to you because of those reasons. And whatever it is, we can just go through life where we kind of feel unloved. And you know, because we feel hurt, you know, again, we can look outside of ourselves. The Four of Wands can be about wanting to come together with other people because we are heartbroken. And we want to find people in our life that love us and are encouraging to us and are on the same page as us. Over here, we have the Six of Swords, want to bring this dream into reality. With the Six of Pentacles, I want to be in a relationship with people where there's equal give and take. The only thing is, if we haven't really learned to love ourselves, sometimes there are people in the world that we also need to learn lessons about and see the truth of. There's other people in the world that have kind of went through that same life experience, but they could have kind of given up on love and believing in their dreams, and they could have kind of rejected that nature within themselves. No, I am not going to align with my more loving nature. I did that before. People were unkind. People were some way that now I don't want to align with that nature within myself, because that makes me gullible to being hurt or naive or abused. And sadly, some of those people decide they're going to go find people in the world that still have that energy about them, that they could feel you're gullible and naive. And boy, if you're gullible and naive, then they're the person who's going to manipulate you. And they could be... The Four of Wands is Aries energy, which can be about the self. And some people, because of their life experiences, decided in themselves what they decided was just and fair in their Libra energy was to kind of give up their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. They needed to protect their more hopeful, believing nature at all costs from being hurt. Sometimes I view the King of Swords as someone's inner self-defensive nature, right? I have to protect my inner child nature. I must defend them from being hurt. I do not let my inner child out to play anymore in the world. But they might want to be in relationships with people who are like that. But they think like, if you're going to be a naive, gullible person, like I used to be back in the day, they might think that they're this just and fair person, that they won't try to manipulate or control you. But if you're getting in a relationship and you're not being open and authentic, then you are trying to manipulate and control people. You're living more from your mind than your heart, being in your defensive energy. I will present myself maybe as being someone who's authentic and loving and open to love, but I'm not. But I know how to act that way to create this illusion about who I am, so that people will think I'm that type of person, but I'm really not. And they think that's the safe way to live. That helps them probably maintain balance within themselves. And maybe they think if they, what if some people could think if they were to let their more authentic nature out in the world to play, what if it got hurt? What if it fell down and scraped its knee? Maybe they don't know if they could pick themselves back up. And that ends up being people who are quite emotionally immature, because it's like living a life of, like living a false life, really. Not really being authentically themselves. But then they can get in relationships with people, and it's like, oh, you haven't learned to love and believe in yourself, but you're someone who's inspired by truth and love. Perfect. I'll create an illusion that I'm inspired by truth and love too. I just don't let my more authentic nature out to play in the world. And then you get in a relationship with some of those people, and you end up feeling heartbroken in the relationship, because you can kind of tell they don't, maybe even initially you could have sensed that. That would have been your Gemini nature trying to tell you something's wrong here. You're getting in a relationship with someone. I don't think you should do this. Something isn't right here. But we have lessons to learn about listening to our intuition. And even though our intuition was trying to get us to love ourselves and believe in ourselves and deal with our own past pain and heartbreak, because we're getting in kind of a mismatched relationship, we all have these lessons to learn. And we can be drawn and attracted to certain people because we do have that lesson to learn. And they could be the person who came into our life that in a lot of ways we can have a lot of commonality. And in a lot of ways we could view them as being on the same page as us. I think we both can have some mental conflict about some things. We both could be kind of defensive. We both can come across and seem and be kind of loving and nurturing in a relationship. It's just that the more defensive people will only kind of go so far in the relationship. You know, they can really indulge themselves in the relationship, you know, and enjoy being in the relationship. But eventually you can kind of feel like, I feel like someone is in the relationship kind of indulging themselves in the relationship with me and enjoying it. And maybe it's good for the ego and the image and the status. And by worldly standards, it looks like you have justice in the world. You've gotten these things that other people have in the world. It's just that one person is operating more from their mind than their heart and still operating from heartbreak, while the other person, while they're in the relationship, could start to do this work within themselves because they don't want to keep staying in heartbreak. And that's what they're motivated and inspired by. I do have hope and faith and belief and love. I have been hurt. I have been whatever, all these things that could make me defensive, but I still have hope and faith and belief and love. And the person you get in a relationship with, you know, could have a lot of things in common in that regard. It's just that one person could have been in a place where both people really, and I think the hardest lesson to learn is to love yourself and get out of that more codependent energy where I become my own best mother, father, coach voice in my head, and I learn to be a good parent to myself. So I'm not looking to people outside of myself. Yes, it's great to be in community. It's great to come together with others, but I don't want to be in that more codependent energy. I want to learn to love myself. I want my foundation to be balanced and healed. That's high vibe Three of Swords, high vibe Libra energy. But the other people, some of the other people that we could get in relationship with, kind of gave up on love, turned their back on love, and decided in their idea of what they thought was best for them to maintain balance within themselves, or what they thought was just and fair, was to live now more from their mind than their heart. And that can be kind of being mentally strategic in a relationship. Yes, I will get in relationships with people. Yes, I will. The kings can represent how we present ourselves to the world. And King of Swords and Libra energy can be like people's public politician persona and putting in work and effort to appear like this just and fair and stable and grounded and person that I'm not selfish, I'm not defensive, I'm not more about myself, I'm not egotistical, I'm not trying to control people, but sometimes they are, you know? And then if one person does this work within themselves to kind of get to the truth, looking at life from a higher perspective, offering them self-love to heal from past pain and heartbreak, their foundation from the 5 down to the 1, it's maybe having worked through the 4 of Swords, which is healing. And so I did have mental conflict. I wanted to get to the truth, so I offered love to myself to heal so I could be in the energy of the truth. When we were in mental conflict, we still weren't seeing the truth. That's the 2 of Swords. Well, then when we see the truth, now instead of being stuck in the 2 of Swords, we've seen the truth. And now our foundation is more at a place of balance. I did have these issues from my past. I worked through those things. I learned how to love myself. Now my foundation is more in a place of balance. But when we could have gotten into the friendship or the relationship, we both could have been operating more from heartbreak, which is what the 3 of Swords can talk about. And we had this conflict between our mind and our heart. But during the relationship, one person could have decided, you know, I need to learn to stand up and defend my own authentic, loving, creative, inspired nature. I've dealt with people in my life before that weren't as just and fair or loving or whatever as I wish they would have been. But I have to take responsibility for myself, and I have to bring justice to myself, and I need to stand up and keep believing in myself and believing in my dreams. So I'm going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me so I can heal. Because I don't want the past and all those things to keep affecting how I live my life. I want to be free of it. And Virgo energy within all of us does this work within ourselves. We invest the time, energy, and effort to free ourselves from it. And then we're back kind of more balanced, more mature, and we've learned to be like a good parent to ourselves. We treat ourselves in a just and fair way. We stand up for ourselves and our dreams. And when one person kind of does that in a relationship, when one person changes, the whole dynamic changes. And then some of the people that we're in a relationship with don't like it. I liked it when we were in the relationship and we were all on the same page. And we were all living maybe more from our mind than our heart and being defensive. Kind of maybe indulging more out of our ego. The Five of Wands is Leo energy. We still had this inner conflict. I had inner conflict, you had inner conflict. But in high vibe, the Five of Wands can be people coming to kind of peace within themselves. I've done this work within myself to kind of not be in a tug of war within myself anymore. I did this work within myself. I did this work. I invested time, energy, and effort to get to the truth, to keep loving and believing in myself, to get out of the Five of Swords, of the mental conflict. I did this work within myself to get to the truth. And when I got to the truth, I was no longer in denial of the truth. And now I have hope and faith and belief in my dreams. And I am kind of more balanced within myself. And I no longer let the shadowy things in the world or my own shadowy nature of fear and insecurity or self-pity or whatever keep stopping me from believing in myself. And my shadow nature could be pissed off because my shadow nature likes to be in the driver's seat of my life. It likes me to be immature and impulsive and heartbroken. You know, that's what the devil wants. And kind of our own shadow nature can't live our life and go experience all these things if we're not in these shadowy thoughts and emotions and viewpoints of life. We're going to align with our more loving, hopeful, believing nature. And we're going to have that hopeful, believing spirit to get the justice we deserve. And just like when we do that within ourselves, there's other people in our life who don't like it. Because we were hanging out with them. We were working at that job. We were in that romantic relationship. And if they still haven't done this inner work within them, then they don't like it when we have, and they're sad. But they also could be defensive to being in a relationship with you anymore. At the same time, you're kind of becoming defensive to wanting to be in a relationship with them anymore. Because a relationship has to be balanced. And if we were both kind of in the ditch down here, but one person kind of got themselves, you know, I kind of look at like the Chariot and the Justice card as driving on the road in between the bumper cars of life, you know, and the sides of the road. You know, I might swing over this way, but then I get myself back. And sometimes I might swing over this way, but I balance myself out not to get too tipped out of balance that I drive my life off into the ditch. But we got lessons to learn. You could look at, you know, in tarot, they sometimes talk about it, about parallel, different timelines. You know, the way we live life, the road of life we're on when we're 15 years old is hopefully different than the road of life we're going to be on at age 18, and different than the road of life we're going to be on at 21. But in the world, we have people going down those roads of life based on their maturity level. And being at a certain stage of life, it's appropriate for us to be on that stage of life. But if one person frees themselves from an old way of viewing life and thinking about life and past pain and heartbreak, and they kind of go to a new lane of life, well, the other people are still got lessons to learn on that old lane of life. And the truth sets us free to go step out of our comfort zone to go live our life differently. And that's when some people can be defensive to us, and sometimes those people can do hurtful and unkind things because they liked the relationship and they want you to do it the way they want you to do it. And that's when, when things happen that they don't like, that you seem to kind of loving and believing in yourself more, maybe wanting a more just and fair and balanced relationship, having better boundaries within yourself, that's sometimes when you can see somebody's shadowy nature come out. And they can purposely do things to cause you a lot of mental conflict, to get you back in that old energy, to make you not love and believe in yourself, to make you sad, to make you heartbroken. Because then you're kind of in the same energy they are, and they want you to stay in that energy. But it's kind of hard when you're tired of living your life that way and you don't want to be in that same pain and heartbreak. And, how long am I supposed to stay in hell? Am I never supposed to look at life from a higher perspective and reconcile myself with the past? They might think so because they never do. We either, in the Six of Cups, reconcile ourselves with the past, or we don't want to deal with the truth of it, and we're willing to repeat and defend an old pattern and way of living life, because if the truth sets us free and people don't want to see the truth, well, then they don't. And they keep defending living life the way they do it. And for some, they are kind of immature, and they could be people who have a lot of mental conflict, haven't learned to love themselves, are defensive to love, could be kind of bossy and controlling, maybe emotionally cold and detached. But, if that's the way they've lived their life and the way they want to keep living their life, they're looking for someone who will defend them being that way and staying in a relationship with them anyway. And again, if they seem like they have these things of the world that people want and are attracted to, in their mind is just and fair. It's just like, if you know anybody, say they're kind of bossy or always need to be the center of attention. Well, they don't plan on changing anytime soon. And they just need to find someone who's willing to put up with them being bossy and needing to be the center of attention. And why would some people maybe keep staying in a relationship with them? Either because that person is willing to stay in a relationship with them and they're codependent. Well, you're willing to stay here and defend this. I'm willing to stay here and defend this. Okay, we're both codependent. I'll put up with your shit. You put up with my shit. Neither one of us want to deal with our issues and our mental conflict. We could think the answer to our healing is to go indulge ourselves in these things of the world. That's our truth. Let's go indulge in these things. Do you want to go indulge in those things? Yes. Okay. We're on the same page. Let's go indulge in those things. Whether that's drugs, alcohol, money, status, whatever they think, if they go indulge in it or have it, that they'll be happy, that's how they're going to live their life. Can I be bossy and controlling? Can I be defensive and you're going to stay here? Perfect. That's my idea of the dream relationship. That's the type of person I was always looking for. Everybody's got their idea of what they think would make them happy. I don't want you to love and believe in yourself. I don't want you to heal. I want you to stay and exchange resources with me, because that's the kind of people I've had in my life, and I want to find more people who are willing to do that with me in my life. I don't want to have to heal. I don't want to have to grow up. I don't want to have to reconcile myself with the past. I think this is just and fair. It's like, okay. Well, other people have mental conflict about it. eventually some people that are in relationships with people like that feel unloved and they're heartbroken. And eventually, during the process of this relationship, it helps them stand up for themselves. Some of you already did that. Some other people are just doing that. And it's like, if I'm a loving, encouraging person and have hope and faith and belief in love, and yes, I might have had some lessons learned in this life and this life experience, and I might have had to grow up and mature myself, but if I did, and I learned to have good discipline to my more immature, bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, whatever ways of being, and that's how I want to move forward. And if I've been offering people love and the truth and trying to be just and fair with them, and they keep defending their more immature ways of being, well, then this whole life experience was to get people to learn to stand up for themselves. And maybe before they had mental conflict about speaking their truth and defending and standing up for themselves. And that's what this whole life experience could have been for. And some people did do that, and some people are just now doing that. And then when those people realize, I have mental conflict and inner conflict in the Five of Swords and the Five of Wands of continuing to move forward with the people I'm in relationship with, because I've already been exchanging resources with them, and I don't think this is going to get any better. And if I want my dreams to come into reality, I better stand up for myself and tell them, I don't want to keep repeating this pattern of relationship. This needs to stop. And we need to see if we're on the same page. And if we're not, then you can go. And you can go find someone else to repeat this pattern of relationship with in a shadowy way, because I don't want to do it in a shadowy way anymore. I've looked at life from a higher perspective. I exchange resources more with my shadow nature, with the world. I indulge in these things, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And all it did was cause me mental conflict and heartbreak. And I've seen the truth. I want to be in more emotionally balanced, authentic, loving relationships. And I want to be in a place of balance and peace within myself. And I don't want to be in more codependent energy or feeling like people are trying to manipulate or control me. And I'm going to stand up for myself. And I'm going to communicate with people in the world who I do think are on the same page as me, and people in my life, that this is what I've decided and this is how I'm moving forward. If I'm going to work together with other people in a relationship, it has to be balanced. And the people I'm in relationship with have to be balanced. And people have to be mature in their thinking, logic, and reasoning. And they need to have good boundaries within themselves to their own shadowy nature and their more immature nature, so that we can have this move forward in life. Change. The fives talk about change. That we can move forward because we've changed. We've seen the truth. We want to look at life from a higher perspective. There's more to life than just me and my ego and my image, or me controlling people or people controlling me. There's more to life than just the ego and the image. We all want stability and security. That is a common thing in life. But we also want loving, just, fair, respectful, truthful, balanced relationships. And I'm not willing to sacrifice the loving aspect just to have these things in the world. And there's some people who are. And there's some people that are sad. But the truth is, they are not willing to align with their more hopeful, believing spirit. Nope, I am defensive to that. I align with defending my more being inspired by the world. And that, I think, is what will make me feel safe and secure and happy. And I might go exchange resources with someone else that in their Capricorn energy. It doesn't have to be a Capricorn sun sign, but high vibe Capricorn is freeing yourself from things that manipulate you. Shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. I'm going to go get in relationship with other people who are defensive to looking at life from a different perspective. I want to be in a relationship with the people who view life the way I view life, and they have their free will to do that. If that is what helps them feel safe and secure and balanced within themselves, that's what they're going to do. Or just that's their truth and that's what's most important to them. Love is optional. But they could be kind of sad and have a little mental conflict, because the truth is there was loving people that they could have been in a relationship with that had good discipline, that were just and fair and loving and nurturing and supportive and creative and inspired. But in order to move forward with those people, they would have had to let their more authentic inner child out to play in the world, and they just were not willing to do that. They could get hurt. So they decided, you can go, I'm going to get in a relationship with someone who I think is either heartbroken or defensive or immature, to try to manipulate them, or I'm going to go try to find someone who's on the same page as me, who views life the same way I do. So what is coming up? High vibe people are communicating the truth. And more worldly, shadowy people they should be truthful. Speak your truth. If I'm kind of really don't like deep, meaningful relationships. I find it confusing. We're emotionally complex human beings. I'm good being in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. I enjoy being in a relationship. I like having, these things of the world and enjoying life. I just really don't want to be in a more deep, meaningful relationship. I find it confusing. It throws me out of balance. Well, there'd probably be people that would be open to being in a relationship with them, knowing that. At least they're being truthful and honest. Other people aren't speaking the truth. They're just defending the fact that they defend their maybe more immature, indulgent nature. And they're going to try to communicate with people who they think might be sad, might be heartbroken, might be defensive, might be naive and gullible like the rest of us have been, who don't know the truth about people like this who are hiding in the dark in the world. What's happening for the high vibe people they don't see coming? The Death card, the Ace of Pentacles, the Tower card, because of the Judgment. High vibe people are calling judgment on themselves and other people. They're emotionally detaching from a past pattern because they've seen the truth. And they're detaching from that foundation. They no longer want to live their life that way anymore, and they don't want to be in a relationship with people who live their life that way anymore. And they could have dealt with people that they would, you're either in life-giving energy, you have hope and faith and belief and love, or you're kind of in non-life energy. And, not using your emotions, your sexuality, your mind. It's like being a scammer in the world, trying to present yourself as an authentic, loving, just, fair, emotionally mature person when you're not, and you have no intention of really aligning with authentically being that type of person. And it could be people that are defensive to being held accountable for their actions. And if they weren't willing to be held accountable for their actions, then you called judgment on them. I'm no longer going to emotionally invest in you. Yes, I'm sad about it. Yeah, it could cause me inner conflict. I had a dream I wanted to have come into reality with you. But apparently my dream can't come into reality with you. So I let go of that decision. At one time I thought you were someone I could have a dream come into reality. I've let go of that decision. I've put an end to that decision. And I'm letting that foundation go. And basically, as some of you keep moving forward in life, offering truth and love to people to see who's on the same page as you, to be in friendships and relationships with you, you're speaking your truth and standing up for yourself. And the people who aren't on that same page as you, invested in the truth and looking at life from a higher perspective and doing equal give and take, being inspired to face their fears, to keep focused on the bigger picture of love, well, then those are people you're letting go from. And I think as you do that, there's going to be other people that want to invest in you because they know you're not repeating some old pattern of kind of the way people can act in the world. And you're standing in your truth and being authentic and having good discipline within yourself. And there's going to be other people are heartbroken that you're doing that because they can't be in a relationship with you if you stay in that energy because they're not willing to be in that energy themselves. And the people who are in that energy with you, who are inspired to look at life as an adventure to be lived, who are balanced within themselves, who are willing to speak the truth, fight for the truth, act in a balanced, just and fair and authentic, loving way, those are the people that are going to move forward with you. And if some of those people are people that were people you were thinking of letting go of, they don't want you to let go of them. And they're going to quit investing in an unstable way of living life or a more worldly view of life. And they're holding themselves accountable because they want to move forward with you and they don't want you to let go of them. So, what's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy? Well, the Tower. Eventually people don't want to be in relationships with people who act in these kind of more immature, shadowy ways of being. And people let go of being in a foundation with them. And that could be a shock. Because again, these people could look like they have these things of the world that people should want to be in a relationship with them. And they can't believe people are willing to give up those things of the world and love and believe in themselves enough to move forward, because they would probably never give up those things of the world or get out of their more defensive nature or their more immature nature or their more whatever nature. But some other people did, and that's shocking to them. Has something to do with this card, the Seven of Wands. Some people are no longer defending them and standing up for them, and that could be shocking. Sometimes when people have a certain persona in the world and they could think that no matter what they do, even if they act in these kind of shadowy ways, initially people could stand up and defend them because they do have a certain image or whatever reason they want to align with them. But eventually other people start to feel like, I don't think you are who you say you are. You try to present this image like you're this just and fair and stable, grounded, I'm a loyal and committed person. Like that would be high vibe Virgo energy. I'm not selfish. I'm not greedy. I'm not all about myself. And eventually people have mental conflict because the truth is there has been loving people in their life that wanted to be in a relationship with them who ended up being heartbroken because this person was defensive to working through their own defensive nature, egoic nature, to work cooperatively in love. And the other people can't figure out maybe why they would let those people go. And it is confusing. And eventually they start, to listen to their own intuition about why they think someone would do this. And then based on the way that they're kind of living their life, it's like, I think you're the one who wanted to go indulge yourself, or that you are more manipulative or more egotistical or more bossy and controlling or self-centered or materialistic than you are letting on. Because you might get in a relationship with someone where we can't figure out why would you get in a relationship with that person if it wasn't someone you thought you could either dominate and control and like bully, or they seem to have their own bad traits and characteristics, but they got those things of the world. So the only thing people can conclude It's like, let's see, you had authentic, loving people you could be in a relationship with, but no, you decided to defend something that doesn't seem to be anywhere on the same page as that, which could be a more emotionally shallow, superficial relationship. And that's when they realize other people aren't willing to defend them anymore either. And that's a shock. But the thing is, you can fool some of the people some of the time, you can't fool all the people all the time. And some people thought they could. But the truth rises to the surface. And based on how different people are conducting themselves, well, if one person seems to be being truthful and honest and just and fair and balanced and self-disciplined and hopeful and creative and inspired, and another person seems to be indulging their more immature nature, trying to look like a shining star in the world, seeming to be indulging themselves in certain ways, it kind of shows who's more the emotionally mature person and who is the more immature, indulgent person. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.